as we go live, you have the shirt. A good shot of the shirt.
Thank you for sticking your crotch in the camera when we
I'm
go
sorry.
live.
I'm so sorry. I was reaching for something. I'm not used to the at-home production.
I'm not going to make the hand gesture. Hey, everyone. This is Andy Hall. You got comedian Sam Slade right there. And, of course, Chris, the Daily Atheist, down over here. And we're just going to be talking about all kinds of fun stuff. Chris, the Daily Atheist, down.
Amateur move. Mediocre, Chris. Mediocre. Sorry, I got that.
Wow, Chris, you're supposed to be like the smart one out of the three of us.
I know. I'm drooling this morning. I'm drooling.
Well, that's okay. Well, you've been doing a lot of work on the Daily Atheist. You're actually coming from your other show on here.
Yeah. It's been a lot of work. I cut that one a little bit short so I could take a moment, deflate, rub one out before the new show.
Well, thank you for sharing that with the group.
Yeah.
Well, I
need
from
some cleanup time.
Yeah,
this is a comedy show, right?
Well, that's what I tell people. That's,
okay.
How's it going, Atheist Mo? Best name ever. Good to see you. Or good to hear you. I don't know. Good to read you. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the right nomenclature. The right terms is good to read you. So how are you guys doing during this current apocalypse?
So far, so good.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's an awfully optimistic answer. I'm happy. That's 1 for 3, Chris.
Yeah.
That's not that bad. In baseball, that's successful.
See, I'm not. No. I mean, I'm alive.
I'm batting .350, and that's really good.
Yeah, I'm alive.
In baseball terms.
That's right. Well, I've managed to avoid the cooties up to this point. So, so far so good.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So, Sam, you're in Texas. You are from Texas. Chris, you're in New Mexico, and you are from Texas originally, as I recall.
I am.
And I guess I'm the northerner. I guess I'm the Yankee out of the
Yankee.
The Yankee.
Filthy Yankee, if you don't.
Filthy Yankee. That's right.
Yeah. Hey, Sam, what part of Texas are you from?
Born and raised in Austin, Chris.
Awesome.
And
okay. Sort of like Texas, but not Texas. Is like the alternate mirror universe. Weird, crazy. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. We try to do things where we don't promote people going out and doing things that are going to kill them, and it's a real out of the box thinking down here in Austin, where we're like, Texas, hey, if there's a plague going on, maybe we should stay home and not cough in each other's mouths or just eat each other's assholes in the middle of Walmart. But what are you going to do? It's freedom. It's the price of freedom, Chris.
Right.
I believe the Supreme Court said it was okay for you to be doing that kind of stuff in the Walmart, the coughing in each other's faces.
It's absolutely insane down here, guys. I'm getting to be quite embarrassed when I visit or catch up with people from out of state or folks who have moved out of state like Chris, who were once from Texas, say back when we didn't make all of our decisions based on what baby Jesus would prefer us to do at a Republican primary. But, that's where we're at right now. And we are officially open for business in Texas as of today. Movie theaters, salons are open next week. So if you absolutely need to go get a hand job during a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie,
of course,
you can go get that out of your system. And I promise you'll be the only one in the fucking theater because we are living through the plague. Stay the fuck home. Buy a PlayStation. Stop making it worse.
Right.
Sam, so when you say Texas, is Texas going to be completely, everything's open in 2 weeks?
Within the next couple weeks, if you ask our beloved governor Greg Abbott down here, but I think the city leadership, Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, Houston, and El Paso, I know are going to push back on that and really push back as much as they can. The problem is that Dan Patrick wants to do anything he can to get Donald Trump's tiny orange mushroom cock in his mouth this summer during the Republican convention, whether that's chat roulette style on the internet or just actually there, just jacking it in his face in person, whatever it's going to take, guys, because Greg Abbott's not really interested in saving Texans' lives. He's just interested in that sweet, sweet orange goo.
Yeah, the Cheeto of love. Yeah.
I'm probably not going to be able to run for anything ever after this, Andy. This quarantine has really kind of pushed me off a fucking ledge. I don't know if you've caught on yet.
I've been able to catch on. I feel sorry for your girlfriend, to tell you the truth.
You feel sorry for my girlfriend. She's like,
yeah.
gave it the old Hulk Hogan. Oh, she just chimed in and said, Andy, you have no fucking clue.
No
But
clue.
when you find his body, you'll know what happened.
Oh yeah. So best name ever in the chat, Sam asked if you ever visited the Free Thought Library. Is that in Austin? Best name ever?
I believe it is.
Okay.
I try to avoid libraries.
It's very un-Texas-like. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Paper cuts. Yeah.
Andy, it's like that old Bill Hicks bit where it's, hey, Mr. Comedian, what are you reading for? And you go, well, I've never thought about it. What am I reading for? Like, what am I reading? I understand that. What am I reading for? That's how we're operating. I don't know if you remember the old bit. Bill Hicks, you should Google him, kids. Comedy used to be a thing that you didn't do from home.
Right? Yeah. Sounds like Jeremy.
I don't know if you've had this happen to you, Chris, but I've had at least a couple of conversations with friends of mine who are now just thinking, maybe we should do this online thing, reach out to people, maybe make some money. And it's like, well, first I have to tell you, I don't want to be Debbie Downer here, but making money on the internet, it's more of an act of love more than anything else.
I got to tell you, I was torn in the beginning, but because I am one of those who will tell you up front, my goal in doing what I'm doing is to make a living. I'm passionate about what I'm doing, and I want to make a living at doing it. A comedian certainly probably understands. But I have to say, whenever I first started, it was really hard. Do I become an atheist activist and try to make money with my people and intellects and getting among my group and sharing community and fighting the evil that is Christianity? Or my alternative I was thinking about, and I may still go this route, is I was thinking about being a yoga pant try-on model. And doing yoga.
Would you have to buy one of those? I would have to buy one of those special underwear. That has the stuffing in it, right? Because I have no ass. Basically,
I got my own stuffing.
I think you might have missed your calling, Chris.
I did. So those were my thinking. That's my option.
Okay.
But right now, I'm going with the atheist thing. I got to be honest. My dealings with you and with Leanne, with Sam, I watched Leanne do a comedy show with another couple of other comedians. And the overall general idea is I'm sitting here going, I'm a funny son of a bitch. I want to be kind of like an internet comedian. The overall gist I've gotten so far is there's plenty of comedians. Just sit the fuck down. The last thing we need is another funny man up here going 2 bars, walked into a Jew, so, but what I've thought about doing is using my powers for good and trying to help comedians like Sam, like Leanne, like yourself, whoever, do the tech part and run shows.
Yeah.
Because I kind of got the tech part down, and I would be willing to throw that towards like a weekly show to help comedians get out there. Because that's, it's one of those dreams. I may never be a race car driver, but I get to walk past one. I get to slide my hand along the side of it. I have
a friend of mine here in the Boston area, and his side gig, his side business is actually setting up podcasts, helping people set up their podcast system, how to put it online, how to get the whole, mic set up, the computer stuff. And he brings in okay money that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess there's that. But again, in my case, it's more of a labor of love. I would set up the YouTube channel, do whatever I've thought about doing to help the comedians run my own thing. And hopefully maybe we could make some money on it. That'd be great. Yeah. But go around, hey, my name is Chris and I will set you up on YouTube buffer for only $59.95. I'm past that. I got no time. You know what I mean? Right. I mean, I would help people do it, but to make a job of it, this is the job. I tell you, I got no time for that.
Sure.
All I can do. And if I can actually get this to making some money, that would be fortuitous for me. But it is.
So Sam, I was thinking about this just the other day. We were chatting before the whole show started, and we were talking about Bush the younger, and I was thinking, with Donald Trump and this whole coronavirus stuff going on right now, is this Donald Trump's mission accomplished moment?
It has to be, right? It absolutely has to be. I think just to cue it up and back it up just a second, Andy, we were talking about the American Experience came out earlier this week, George W. Bush. And it was interesting to me that PBS did literally I know PBS is known for its advertising. I know. But I mean, like, I hadn't heard about it at all coming out, you know, and I'm a very much a presidential history nerd, and I was waiting on that. And I'm like, they got to do them eventually, right? And then it comes out. I get the girlfriend sees a promo like the day before, and you're like, oh, great, let's check it out. And man, it was not the fun like 80s high school comedy we like to think of it as looking back during the Trump era. It was a fucking mess every week. The difference is they at least had the minimum amount of smart people in the room to handle the crisis, as opposed to fucking no one in Jared Kushner. But I mean, we went like just the first 5 minutes of it, the highlight reel at the beginning. You've got 9/11, Katrina. Well, of course, they blow their load early with 9/11, right? And you're like, oh, fuck, here we go.
And you ask yourself, how are they going to top 9/11? But wait till the end. Wait till the stopper.
Yeah, wait till right. You're going to set it up. I mean, what a great, for all the credit Trump gets over the years from you and I for being the WWE president. I mean, to open the show with 9/11 and end it with global financial collapse, that's a hard bar to clear.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he crushed it.
Yeah, and Trump just hit that fucking ball right out of the park. My God, it's still flying into space. I mean, a legit global plague. And now we're going to argue about whether or not it's real. And we're just going to watch these death tolls count up and count up and count up. I mean,
but are those real death tolls?
Exactly, Chris. Exactly.
Right.
It's a hoax. Who are we believing? What are you going to believe? The doctors?
This is, if I may. Global pandemic is one of those err on the side of caution moments. It sucks that I have to say this. It's an error on the side of caution moment. Are they real numbers? I don't fucking know, but I'm going to go and just kind of work that they are, because worse, these people shame us.
All right, listen to me right now, guys. It's a complete global conspiracy. These are crisis actors. These are not real dead bodies. It's easily crisis. This is all declassified. Google it right now. I will not let American patriarchy go down like this. Listen to me.
Right. Those are the same dead bodies they had in New York last week, and the same dead bodies they used in Virginia the week before, and the same dead bodies. Yeah.
I believe that's your Alex Jones impersonation, Sam.
That
was great.
I'm hoping I get to play him in his biopic here in a few years after we get a big, real tragic, random ending for Alex, because it's inevitable, I feel like, at this point.
Did you see the video? You guys must have seen the video about him talking about how he's going to eat his neighbors.
Eat his neighbors? Why would he eat his neighbors?
Alex Jones did this clip. It blew up on Twitter and other social media platforms about him going, I can't do Alex Jones like Sam does. But he goes on about, I'm ready to eat my neighbors. I'm ready to eat their asses.
I'm looking around right now. I'm going outside. I'm seeing Craig come in from the car. Craig, I'm going to eat Craig ass first. That's right. I will not let my kids starve. And you're going, Alex, you have topped yourself. This isn't crisis actors, dead kids. You're literally threatening to eat the neighbor ass first. We have hit a new fucking low. And I miss people jumping out of the World Trade Center. Can I say that? Is it too soon?
Well, we're about 13 minutes into it.
Wow. That was a wow moment. Wow. Yeah, that's cool. Wow.
Yeah, so that was Alex Jones. I think it was earlier this week or maybe last week, talking about eating his neighbors and being ready for it.
Alex can't seem to get out of his own fucking way the last few years. And it's amazing what he could do if he had somebody. You see him when he goes on Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan's the only person I've ever seen that could slow Alex Jones down. I mean, I've been on radio shows that he's made appearances on, and there's no way to fucking slow the guy down or tranquilize him for a minute to clarify what the hell he's talking about. But Joe Rogan does a great job. But when you go off talking about, Sandy Hook crisis actors and, Dylan Roof had a point, and if we had listened to Ted Kaczynski and I'm going to eat the neighbor fucking ass first, we kind of lose credibility.
Yeah. The guy ain't right in the head. Well, it's not, I don't really think it's so much that he ain't right in the head, or it's kind of more circus than this or that. But the bothersome part is that he has so many people who follow him and who believe that yonder what he says. What is that quote from the show? Spartacus, words fall from his mouth like shit from ass.
Wow.
This guy, This guy it's almost Trump-esque.
And I think that was for me the last when I knew shit was going to get worse than anybody could imagine in the 2015, 2016 primary process was when Trump and Alex Jones fortified their bond. And you're like, oh, fuck. There's no way this works out. As soon as Trump appears on the Alex Jones Show, prisonplanet.com, Infowars.com, we'll be right back with Donald Trump. As soon as that happens, kick it off because this sugar bowl is going to run all night, boys. We are not going to catch up to these guys.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Have you seen those memes where they're talking about, if Trump, that there are no aliens, there aren't any, because if there were any aliens, Trump would have said, oh yeah, there's aliens. He'd have said it if he would have exposed the reality that there are aliens. Have you seen that meme? And then in the meme, they're all sad. I guess there's no aliens. And then they just released the UFO stuff on.
If there were real aliens and if Donald Trump knew about it, it would be like V, that TV series V, or the movie with Roddy Piper. They Live, right? With the glasses. Trump would be part of the elite that is selling us all out to the aliens.
Or he'd be trying to load them on a train.
Right. They'd be saying, it's a cookbook. And Trump would be going, it's the best cookbook ever.
Yeah. I've met Zorlak. He's a very good guy. He's the best. I know so many of the aliens. No one probes an anus better than Zorlak does. We're so happy to have him here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But, there's probably some kind of playbook as to what the worst fucking possible thing you could do in the alien encounter situation should aliens come down. And that's the playbook he's going to go on.
Well, of course. I mean, that's the playbook he operates off anything. But
clearly looking at his approach to the virus thing.
Yeah. It drives me crazy sometimes when I hear from relatives or like extremely liberal people I'm close to who are like, can you believe Trump did this? And you just go, I'm sorry. Can you believe he did what? Who are we talking about? This isn't fucking Michael Dukakis. What do you mean? Can you believe he did that? You mean the guy who was in the Shave Your Head match from WWE WrestleMania 5 years ago?
Yeah. I was talking about this with my girlfriend today, is that anger becomes like a multi-layered puff pastry, right? Because I don't know if you guys saw the story today about Trump and the Trump administration burying the CDC guidelines for reopening the country.
I've heard about that.
It's basically the CDC had these guidelines. Trump's like, we're not publishing those. And so, of course, it got leaked to the New York Times, I believe. Big story about it. Everyone should take a look at it for a few minutes. And because, of course, the CDC guidelines state things like maybe you shouldn't be coughing into people's mouths, for an example, or maybe there should be sneeze guards in between cashiers and customers. And, of course, that would just be bad for the economy somehow.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was talking to my girlfriend about it. She goes, I just can't believe that he did that. And I go, anger is so many different layers. Excuse me. At first you get angry that he did it. And then you get angry.
Get back from the microphone.
Yeah, right. So first you're angry that he did it. And then you're angry that you didn't see it coming. And then you're angry that you couldn't believe it to begin with, because this is exactly what he does. This is exactly what happens. It's very predictable.
Yeah. Well, the things that he's done, he ignored the WHO whenever they said this was coming. Then it all blew up. He blamed the Democrats, said it was a hoax. And now, I say now, it was like a week and a half ago or whatever, he was out blaming the WHO, saying they didn't warn us in time. He stopped giving money to the WHO, the people who did try to warn us and protect us from all this stuff. And now, the latest I heard, he was going to disband or whatever, defund or whatever the current task force that's working on the pandemic. I mean, if there's a way to do this wrong, he's following that playbook every step. It almost seems like he is trying to kill the American people, get our defenses down, get us like he's actually trying to destroy America. I mean, literally now. They used to do it just financially. Oh, they're destroying us. They're doing this, they're doing that. But now, whenever they take away the masks and medical supplies from the people, the medics, and these things are just rotting in warehouses, when that defensive line called our medical heroes. They want to call. When that fails, we all fail. We're all fucked. Yeah. And it almost seems like that's what they're trying to do. One mask that this lady can wear for a week. That all the things, and then they take the mask. They had masks here for the people, and then they took them away. Where did they take them? I don't know. Who's in charge of this stuff? Jared Kushner? Because he's got all fucking kinds of experience dealing with this shit, right? And it's like anybody who says anything contrary to Trump's drunken, syphilis-riddled rantings, they laugh at him and they start pulling him out, Yeah. So it's one of those things where it almost seems intentional, willful attempts to harm the American people. And not just to save money. It's not like these people don't already have money. They got yachts inside of yachts inside of fucking yachts, and they want more. I don't get it. It escapes me completely.
So Sam, what's the over under on Alex Jones being in charge of the pandemic task force at some point?
Well, we're running out of people who will work with the president, and what you have to understand, Chris, is he's a businessman. So I hear what you're saying about your frustration as far as his lack of government experience, but what you got to understand is he's a businessman, Chris, and he's been a very successful businessman, and he's made billions of dollars, and you're just going to have to trust us on this. I know it seems intentional, but I can't imagine anyone on the planet who would want the United States to fail. I look around the world and I think like
Russia?
What?
I'm sorry.
No, I thought after Rocky IV shit was cool between us. What the fuck?
Me too, dude. Me too. Right. Peace, dude. Peace.
The guy is. I mean, just what Andy was just talking about bearing those CDC guidelines that they covered up. That would be an administration fucking axe to the head for any other presidential administration in this country's history, in any other first world developed country on the fucking planet. And the shit that Trump has been doing for 4 years has ground us down, has not only caused us more anxiety and depression and just lack of any kind of old school Hulk Hogan belief in America. I'm sorry, I'm an 80s kid. That now third world behavior happens in this country to the point of firing experts because I don't like the cut of his jib. I don't like the way he looked at me. It's not about facts. It's about, did you look at the emperor the wrong way in his new Ric Flair robe? I'm sorry. I'm heavy on the wrestling stuff this morning. I've been playing a lot of the new WWE video game. I tried to disclaim that to Andy earlier. Bear with me. I think everyone understands what that means. I just don't know what we're going to do because when do politics get back to normal? We can't campaign like we used to. We've got Joe Biden, sealed up in his home somewhere in Delaware. Trump
Trump's trying to suck out the USPS, so we can't fucking do anything. The vote. Sorry. Right. So we can't. We're gonna derail the post office. That old nemesis that's always been the downfall of this country. The fucking United States Postal Service. Those motherfuckers. You're finally gonna get what you had coming with those 25-cent stamps. You fucker.
You know who had the post office? Nazis and Stalin.
Yeah. People don't remember that. You know who else had a good post office? Stalin.
Creeping socialism. That's what that is.
It's just, it's insane. Socialism. And we don't know what's up or what's down anymore because so many people on the other side, they're not out like it used to be. McCain, Romney Republicans, Dole Republicans, even Rick Perry Republicans. It's not like that. It's if the other side says up, because that's the way to go to get the oxygen, or left is the way down the maze to find the food, they will fight with you because Hillary's emails and that bitch is a cunt. Yeah. So, I mean, it doesn't matter what we're talking about anymore, guys, and we can't expect to have any rational fucking conversation with any of these people. And hey, Andy and Chris, I want to be the first one to tell you, 36 campaigns. I've worked on 4 Democratic presidential campaigns. I have to say it. No one sucks more than Democrats. We fuck it up. We are like Barney Fife and the Washington Generals combined. Children, look up those references. You'll understand what I mean.
I was just talking to, once again, before the show started, about if this should be the easiest campaign the Democrats win.
Fucking layup.
Of all, assuming
the last
that the economy,
one should have been.
The last one should have been. Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah. This would actually, and this should be even easier than the last one.
I'm making notes.
This should actually be easier than the last one because of the state of the economy. No president has been reelected while the country has been in a recession. And it's hard to believe that the country is not going to be in some kind of economic downturn by the time November rolls around.
Well, the jobs report came out this morning, and we're now at 15% unemployment, and that happened within 6 or 8 weeks. So you track those numbers, and by election time, what else is anybody going to have to do? Nobody's going to have to take off work to go vote because nobody's going to have a fucking job.
Right. Yeah. Well, I have my I want to be wrong prediction. Now, what you just said is one thing. They won't be able to take off to work. They'll all be home, but then they won't be able to vote. You won't be able to go stand in line. You won't be able to go because of the disease, the virus. You won't be able to go to the post office. They're trying to shut down the post office. They're trying to fight so you can vote by mail. They're doing everything they can, right? So here's my prediction that I want to be wrong is that Trump will win. If we have an election, Trump will win it. And he's going to win it because the gerrymandering that has gone on, the tinkering with the poll, the election, the election devices, the blah, 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 the election where you go in and you do your thing. You know what? Oddly enough, what happens if Trump and his cronies corrupt the election system and make it to where the votes go to him that should have gone somewhere else? What happens? There's a person who actually investigates that. What do they do when that person goes, hey, shit's wrong? There's something wrong with the election. What would they do?
Well, they
would replace that person with somebody that Trump has paid off. That's been the thing that's happened this whole time. There's no way he's losing this election.
And even if it gets out, even if it becomes public information, it would somehow get through the courts to the Supreme Court. And because the Supreme Court is basically loaded with Republican stooges, we know how they would go.
I mean, we were talking, Chris, about what if that information came out that the electronic voting systems were fucked with? Well, in 2004, President Bush got a letter from Diebold CEO, the people who make a lot of banking equipment. They make a lot of voting equipment, or they used to. I don't know if they still do. I'm sure they do. But I know, like, you pull up to your Chase Bank this afternoon and you'll see a little Diebold thing. They make the Zoom tubes and all that. That's an industry term that I've been saying since I was a child at the bank. Zoom tube, trademark. Anyways, my point is, from this depressing story, is that they sent George W. Bush a letter saying, Diebold is committed to do anything we can to make sure President Bush gets reelected in 2004. And then there's that documentary, Stealing Democracy. I highly recommend it to anybody who is, I'm envious of, who thinks, oh, gee, I wonder if they could pull that off. Well, I mean, 2004, there were serious discrepancies. And then we got there from our whole hanging Chad debacle episode. And this year, we're just going to do it across the board. And the thing is there's got to be a way to vote online. I mean, and look, the reason why we don't get voting reform done is because more people that vote, the more democratic this country is going to be, the better it's going to work for everybody.
So the Republicans fight it tooth and nail.
But I have to tell you, I am old, I am skeptical, and I fully believe in good old-fashioned, clearly designed, simple paper ballots. There has to be some kind of backup to electronic voting in case or when things go wrong.
I got to tell you, with the proper technology and monies applied, there's nothing wrong with it. They have the security on their phones right now to do the banking. That if they apply just the technology and the will that they apply to securing your bank account, they'd be able to verify you can do your thumbprint and everything. So there's no reason why we can't. That's not less secure. And all these years we've had things like the hanging chads. You've got your paper ballot, and yet they've still found a way. It doesn't really matter, though. Here's kind of the point. We've got a box of your perfect deal. Here they are. They're perfect. 100,000 votes for this guy. And whenever they turn it in, they're going to say it's actually for this guy. And even though we've got them in the box, it doesn't matter, because the guy who raises his voice and goes, hey, that's not right, they're just going to replace him and fire him. And then, like what happened with Mueller. What happened with Mueller? Didn't Russia interfere with our election intentionally? Didn't we have proof of that? Didn't they do all that? We know that now. That's done. We know Russia interfered with our elections at the behest and working with Trump and their family. We know these things, and yet Trump's still in office. Trump's still there. Nothing has stopped. And then we had an impeachment, and they fought all the evidence, despite all the evidence from all the experts and everything. He still got off. They still, right? So the corruption is complete. He has won. It's over. We just got to find our way to live in it. That's my prediction. I'll be wrong if somebody else gets elected. Biden. Oh my God. if Biden wins, I will be wrong. I will glad to be wrong. I
was just talking with my with a guy who runs American Atheists here in Massachusetts, and I know I've been talking about off and on through different mediums about local organizing, but I think we're going to actually develop a phone tree so that we can start calling our representatives, our state representatives, state politicians, so that we can at least leverage whatever political power we have, and maybe even interface with other Democratic groups, more other liberal groups, to try to get people to call in and put some real political force on the politicians. I mean, I've been saying local organizing is the way to go for a while. I mean, amongst other strategies, of course. It's the funny thing is that when people from other countries ask me about why the voting system is so screwed up in America, and that's because of federalism, right, guys? I mean, every state basically is in charge of its own voting process,
right?
And the federal government has very limited say on it.
Right. Well, also part of the problem is that part of our system was built whenever people had to ride horses across the fucking country, and we don't get past that shit. You know, do we really need representatives at all anymore? Really? Do we?
Yes, yeah, we do. Yeah, I think we absolutely do. But there's reform that needs to take place, and we need to get back on track. And I think the biggest problem right now, as funny as this conversation continues to get, happy Friday, everyone. Hi, Mama.
Friday. Good times.
I think what the left doesn't get, and we won't get back on track until we all accept the fact that Barack H. Obama, spoiled us fucking rotten like the girlfriend that got away in fucking college that you didn't know how to treat right, cook for you, fucking blew you in the car on the way home from dinner. I mean, you have no idea how good you fucking had it. And didn't, never called you on your shit, never kicked you under the table for a bad joke. I mean, you got no fucking clue.
Yeah.
But the thing is, but post Barack Obama, the point is everybody has to be the coolest fucking guy that's ever walked in the room. And as long as the Democrats expect that candidate to show up, I've said this on many of Jack and Andy's shows. It's like the old Rick Pitino speech for the Celtics. If you think Larry Bird is walking through that door, if you think Kevin McHale is walking through that door, they're fucking not. So just deal with it, because here's what we've got to work with. So all these people who, up until we get a candidate like Biden, which I remember Biden was beloved, and now that he's a candidate, run that old motherfucker sex offender out of town. Okay, what happened to this time last year when it was I'll vote for anybody as long as it's Donald Trump? Well, here's your anybody. Shut the fuck up, get in line, and let's take the steps to get back on track, because this shit doesn't change overnight. I don't care what Bernie Sanders fucking promised you. Okay? Yeah. It doesn't change like that.
I was a big
wait. Well, actually, it does. Look exactly how it changed with the conservatives. The conservatives, they came in, they were unified, they applied their will, and look what we got. Look what we got. 3 years of them. That's not radical change, is it?
No.
What if we got that kind of radical change from Bernie?
But Chris,
let me finish my sentence. What if Bernie had gotten $5 trillion? Where would that be? That's what Trump has got. That's what we've got. We've dumped $5 trillion into our economy in the past 2 months. What's going to happen with that money? Talk about no radical change. We can have radical change in our country. Absolutely. Look at what Trump has done.
No.
Why can't Bernie do it?
Let's say him speak. Chris,
okay.
Let him speak.
The only thing I'm going to point out about the flaw in this whole theory, which I love and I wish that would work, and I wish Bernie Sanders was what he promised to be, and I wish elections weren't run by the fact that the guy who gets the most votes wins, and that's how an election works. And I know that's what always makes it.
Wait, that's not
how elections work. Let him talk, Chris.
That's not how elections work.
Chris, let him talk.
Okay.
At the end of the day, the problem is Democrats and the people on the left don't fall in line and take marching orders, and that's what makes us the left. And at the end of the day, we're not going to do what the Trump side does and say, this is our guy. Oh, Christians, you don't like this guy who fucks porn stars? We don't give a shit. Get the fuck in line. Democrats don't play that. We never have. That's why John Kerry lost. That's why Mike Dukakis lost. That's why fucking Carter lost. It's because we get like, oh, I don't like that one thing. It's not perfect for us. I don't like that one thing about it. Well, then shit all goes downhill because we've looked Republicans overlook Dole drooling on himself and falling off a fucking stage. They overlooked W not being able to tie his goddamn shoes. They overlooked Trump.
Right.
And the list goes on and the hits keep coming.
I would say that the biggest problem with I would say that the biggest problem with Sanders is that he focused a lot on class, but let's face it, he didn't focus enough on race. Now I'm not splitting the freaking atom here by saying that, but unfortunately, race trumps class in America.
Right.
And,
well, despite those things and despite what Bernie said, I mean, I am with Sam. Biden is the thing. We've got to do Biden. He is where we are now. Does that mean I have to be happy about it? Is it bad enough that you get my vote? Now you got to shove me down and make me go, oh, I like Biden? Is it not good enough that because that's what we experience a lot. And it was from both sides. Yeah. There's both sides going, I'm not going to vote for Bernie if he wins. Were you one of those, Sam, that you weren't going to vote for Bernie?
No, and Andy and I have talked about this.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's, my cat
whichever
on
one.
the ballot. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I know the difference between the two sides. And unfortunately, we only get two sides in this country. And that's a conversation. We know that's a conversation for another day. Well, we know.
Right.
But right now,
we are here, though.
This is the system we've got. So we can bitch about the referees and we can bitch about the rules, but that's the game that we are playing in 2020. And until we get our ass to work in the off years to change some of the shit, instead of being every 2-year, every 4-year activist, then we don't really have a lot to bitch about because we brought it on ourselves.
And this is what I tell people who are Bernie supporters, like myself, is that you got to work in the off season, right? You got to do the legwork. You got to do the community organizing. You got to work on changing hearts and minds of other Democrats, because that's really the people you need to convince more so than Republicans or independents. When you're talking about changing the Democratic Party, those are the people you should be targeting, progressives and leftists.
And that's what the other team is doing.
Oh yeah. Well, they have a great playbook. I mean, Trump was able to dominate the Republican Party. He devoured it. And so if the left is going to do something like that, the progressives are going to do something like that, we should be taking pages from his playbook. I mean,
look, guys, ideally, at this point, it scares me to death. The fact that our major nominees, whether it's Sanders, Biden, or our unfortunate occupier of the Oval Office right now, are all the target demographic for dying of COVID-19 in going into summer 2020. It scares the shit out of me, and it should scare all of us. But you look around the country, and if I could pick my ballot the way they do in most first world countries, and they have ranked voting, I would say right now, who the fuck isn't waking up every morning right now in this country hearing Andrew Cuomo talk going, God, I wish that dude would do something. But that's not how we operate, because people stand in line. And I mean, it would be real shitty right now for Cuomo to throw his hands up and leave New York, and I don't think he would ever do that. But I mean, just the interjection of youth and competency and determination to get shit done, to change people's lives, to stand up for the health that should not be a benefit. It should be a right in this country. Yeah. But you look at what Cuomo and what Gavin Newsom are doing. There's your ticket, guys. And it's like Andy and I were talking about earlier, Democrats get so wrapped up in checking off the diversity boxes. Well, we've got, lesbian, Hispanic, old, survived COVID, like, all the cool attributes. Well, that's fucking great. But who are we losing? Oh, we're losing with white voters. We're losing with uneducated voters. Okay. Well, then maybe don't muzzle Bill Clinton when he walks into a diner in Cincinnati and says, Obamacare is not the most perfect law we've ever come up with. Don't string him up and take him off the trail, because he knows how to talk to people who aren't only worried about transgender abortion. And I know it seems silly. We were worried about that this time last year, but my God, I don't know at what point. Now I'm the curmudgeon old man when it comes to left politics, it feels like, at 34, because these kids, I just say we opened a big bag of fucking gross.
I would say that people care about leadership regardless of, like I said, Bernie Sanders, he was able to energize a lot of people, being an old white guy. Race is just a reality in America, and at least the Democrats, who are the only major multiracial party in America, needs to be able to deal with that reality one way or the other. Do I know the exact way to do it? No. but I know that it is something that needs to be grappled with. And the Republicans are just like there's only so deep Republicans can go into white working class people, right? That strategy, unless they, overthrow the government, which might happen at some point, which they're working on right now. The Democrats just need to figure out how to split that atom or to crack that nut.
Well,
that I don't know what the answer is.
I obviously have to agree with Sam in that if we on the right or on the left we can't get unity. There's a lack of unity in our message, and then we get all passionate during the election, but then we lose it between the elections.
Right.
Well, this is the nature of community organizing in the off season, right?
Except for on the right. That's kind of the point. We don't have the money or the resources or the passion apparently that they seem to have.
It's a question of leadership. I always go back to this. If there are people who are motivated, who will talk and form small coalitions and take over the Democratic Party, much like the Tea Party took over the Republicans, then it is doable. There is a myth that leftists or Democrats won't fall into line. They will. It is a question of leadership. It's not a question with, it's not the people's problem. The problem is with the oligarchs who make up the Democratic Party. Now, they might be better oligarchs than the ones in the Republican Party, but they are still oligarchs, and that blinds them to the reality of what's going on in this country, as we saw in 2016. That's what we saw in 2016, people just being blind to the reality of what's going on.
And the power broker thing is absolutely a problem. Before the show started, when Andy and I were just we were talking about the last gubernatorial candidate here in Texas, and that was a candidate backed. I don't want to get into it. We did it on your show years ago, Andy, but the thing is, we cannot check off these boxes to impress other power brokers at the state convention when we bump into the other guys pulling strings in their states. And I think, to go back to Bernie Sanders, I know I get a lot of shit for being so anti-Bernie among people I know, but I got to say, guys, I think the fact that he was the only candidate of any kind of serious notoriety or prominence at all who jumped in that race against Hillary filled a vacuum. And I think a big part of where we lose people is that so many of the younger Bernie supporters got behind him solely because it wasn't about message as much as it was he's not Bill or Hillary Clinton and he's not Obama. And I always go back to having worked on both those Obama campaigns. When people start trashing Obama for whatever you want, yeah, he wasn't perfect, but again, the purity shit has to go out the fucking window or in the dumpster, one or the other. Yeah. Because I mean, when people go like, "Oh, Barack Obama, that established," yeah, what is the first black guy who ever broke the biggest color barrier in the history of the world know about politics? Thanks.
Yeah.
No, babe, you're playing the noose all wrong. Come here, let me help you.
I gotta say, and I'm gonna say this. No, I don't really do a lot of politics, but I loved Obama. Thought he was great. I, of course, as you probably guessed, was a Bernie guy. I voted for Hillary. Sure. Because, we are on the same team. That's my thinking. I blame Obama partially for Trump because there were reports in the FBI. There were things going on about Trump and his association with the Russians and things like that could have shut all this down. And yet Obama didn't follow up.
Chris is right. And as a guy, this is something that has frustrated me about the man. And, he's on my Mount Rushmore of, heroes, guys that work for and everything. But I will say this, Chris, something that's always drove me nuts about the guy is he doesn't want to make waves. And that might be, and, to some extent, that's that Jackie Robinson deal. Watch that movie 42. We're not going to just pick anybody from the colored leagues to come over here from the Negro leagues. We're going to pick somebody who can carry this right. And as fucked up as that is, and it goes back to the race conversation, Andy did everything to do to prevent from taking place this morning by not getting into this deep shit on a Friday morning. The problem is that's kind of where Obama was. Now, the next black president, the first Hispanic president, the first Asian president, the first homosexual president, hopefully that's a different deal, right? But Obama he never wanted to take that controversial side. The FBI knew there was shit going on with Putin. When they met at that G7 meeting that summer, he got in Putin's face. I've got the photo somewhere where he's in Putin's face like a Rocky poster. I mean, like Hulk in Macho Man's face going like, knock it off. But he didn't want to seem like he's putting his foot on the scale for Hillary. And at some point, We have to quit taking for granted how fucking stupid most of this country is.
You know what the Republicans are really good at is that they're able to agitate their base and then say, here is an action you can do right now.
Right.
Right.
Well,
and they are excellent at that. And
right.
liberals just don't have that. You know,
Well, if
whoever's watching this, if you're agitated about something, if you're irritated about something, then good. You should go call your representative about whatever you're agitated about. Go and call your state rep, because state reps live in the horror of you calling them, because they know that you are motivated and you vote, and you probably vote a lot more than the general population. You should do that with your state senator, unless you're in Nebraska. I know you have a unicameral system, whatever, over there. But you should be calling your state representative and your state senator and just tell them, these are my concerns. I'm a voter. And this is what you should be doing, because this is what leftists don't. This is what Democrats don't do. They get people agitated, but they don't say immediately, this is what you need to do. And you can say all these stupid rallies that Republicans have been doing. This is great for them, because even though that some of them are going to be dying from COVID-19, because they created an emotion and there is a direct political response immediately afterwards. And that's what we need to do.
I mean, it's just so asinine, guys. We're at a place. My girlfriend and I were talking about this yesterday, and it's frustrating to the point that I have to just bury my head in PlayStation these days. And it's not the answer, kids. That's not the answer. But no, we're sitting here talking about here's an African-American man in the United States in 2020, post-Obama, getting gunned down, jogging through his neighborhood.
Yep.
And then in state capitals throughout the Midwest, you have, Andy, I'll send you royalties for the joke. You got the extras of Son of Anarchy showing up to these state capitals with their fucking Duck Dynasty beards, with pointing AKs in state DPS officers' faces, screaming in their faces with automatic weapons. And we're just, it's okay. No. They're voicing their opinion. They got the right to march. And it always brings me back to Illinois Nazis, man. I fucking hate Illinois Nazis.
You know, in Michigan, there's a state rep. I believe she's a state rep who's black. And she went to her job right at the state house with an armed guard of Latino black riflemen, for all intents and purposes, an armed guard of her own militia. So this is what we've gotten down to in terms of banana republic level. Minority politicians needing to bring in militia, their own people, to protect them, because you cannot depend on the police. Obviously,
you cannot depend on your own state capitol police at this point in the country.
Obviously, you can't.
I mean, we got Greg Abbott, who's more worried about, and I got a funny story I want to bring up, but Greg Abbott down here is more worried about impressing Donald Trump and big Republican donors, Sheldon Adelson, all those old creepy Jabba the Hutt looking motherfuckers, instead of what we need to do, which is lock the shit down. I know Steve Adler, the mayor of Austin, he's not the fucking brightest bulb we've ever fucking put in the fixture. We know that. Yeah. But what are we going to do? Go to Schlitterbahn? Go to the water park? I swear to God, the girlfriend is either trying to get me to just dive out the window, or I don't know what, because she brought it to my attention yesterday that the governor put out, or the state of Texas, one of our geniuses here, put out something that says, well, guys, don't worry. COVID's not spreadable through water.
See, it hurts. It hurts right here, man.
It's not the water that spreads it. So you can go to the pool. No, but coughing in each other's mouths, spitting water at the kid, fucking trying to dunk you, sharing the hot dog, fucking fingering the girl in the hot tub. I digress.
Yeah. But, a real quick point I want to point out about that militia you were talking about, the one with her own militia. A sad reality in our world is that group of people trying to defend her are more likely to be gunned down by the police than the people who were up at the white guys with the machine guns up in their face.
Screaming in the DPS guy's face. Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. Those you're right. If you are brown or black skin, if you're part of a security contingent for a politician, you are, I don't even know what the ratio is, what the percentage is, but dramatically, significantly more likely to get gunned down by state police than some crazy white guy who looks like me, because this is the face of crazy white, of everything that's wrong in America apparently right now, who has like an automatic weapon.
Right.
or an assault rifle. All right.
So when you guys seem to believe this way, it seems like you've got very progressive notions about color and all this. And I totally, does it insult you? Do you get insulted if somebody calls you out for your white privilege?
Oh, I make jokes about it when I was doing stand-up regularly. I would do jokes about it because I understand what white privilege is. And I'll joke about it in the course of a day. You put a polo shirt on me and khakis and I am the king of America. That's what I am.
Right. Yeah.
My girlfriend and her friends, they're around my age, they spend time getting ready in the morning. And me, I jump in the shower, I throw some products in my hair, I throw a collared shirt on, and people think, I'm adulting. This is 5 minutes prep and I'm adulting, right. And so patriarchy and privilege, it is such a toxic and subtle kind of force in society. It's unless you look for it, being a white dude, it's like fish in water. You don't see it. You don't feel it.
No,
you have to own it.
The reason why I get, in other words, there are people, people who go around and treat other races poorly.
Yeah. And
you have a title for that person. And I go around and I try to be good and equal to people. And most of the time I don't even think about race. I'm just doing me. I'm drinking my coffee. I'm not thinking about things like that.
Yeah.
And to come up and label me with that same label that I see as being ugly towards people of color, that's why it pisses me off.
I would ask the person whenever someone says something that just shocks me. I try to remember to ask them, well, what do you mean by that? What does that mean? Right. I'll tell you.
I don't walk into a situation going, I'm white, you need to respect me. I don't walk into a situation going, I'm a man, you need to look up to me. None of that. I'm just doing me,
But Chris,
so I don't wear those hats. Other people do.
Yeah.
Right. And I get that. And that's why I don't like being classified with those other people, because to me that is ugly activities.
Right. Well, I will typically not call someone a racist. I might take a Dave Chappelle road and say, damn, that's racist, as in a behavior, right?
Right.
That's a behavior. Yeah. And so we could talk about behavior, right?
Yeah.
And so I would be curious about the other person's idea about what is the behavior that I am doing right now that's racist.
That's what I was curious about. Or what is it that makes me seem like what have I done that makes me seem like
because that at least creates a dialogue, right? That creates some kind of conversation. Yeah. Because I've done racist stuff in the what's that?
Do I give off that kind of vibe, like I'm white or I'm male? And I don't think I give off that kind of attitude.
Dude, I have to tell you, and once again, from doing stand-up, there was a point that I was doing it a couple of years ago, off and on, like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And I realized that just having like a clean shaven face made people think I was their asshole dad.
They pursue, Okay.
And just having this beard, it makes me more like a mentor character from an anime.
Yeah.
One that's probably going to be dead at the end of the first act. But no, it's even this kind of subtlety which really affects people's opinions. It's just reality, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, just like guys in my generation, you look up now, well, fuck, every role model we had growing up, if you're a white guy looking at white characters, they only move the plot along at all in any TV show or movie because they're a white guy and they got away with it. Zach Morris, Ferris Bueller, Clark Griswold. I mean, we can go on and on and on. The only reason they ever got out of any of this shit was because they were white guys with good hair. Who are we fucking kidding?
There was an incident that I was in when I was a kid, right? I was with a bunch of my buddies. We didn't do anything wrong, but a cop pulled us over and he hassled us, right? And I said nothing. I knew enough not to be fucking stupid and say something to the cop. So the cop threw us. What he did was that he came up to my face and he flicked my nose. And I'm like, I'm still not going to say anything. He put us into the, So I was telling my girlfriend at the time that, and she was Cape Verdean and Irish, very, a Cape Verdean Irish girl. And she goes, Andy, the only reason why you were able to get away with having attitude, because that's attitude, not talking to the cop, that's attitude. The only reason why you were able to get away with that in the way that you did is because you're white. And up until that moment, I hadn't realized that. And this is only like 5 years ago.
But that's something. Do you sit around now as you go through life and stop and go, "Oh, I'm only getting away with this because I'm white"? Do you pause? No, you don't. I mean, you just live your life. You're doing you.
But you got to own it.
Dude, I don't think you understand.
Right. When it comes up, yeah, totally.
No. I was on this date. I'll tell you another thing, right? Andy's stories of white privilege. Here it is, right? I was going on an OkCupid date when I was dating, like a couple of years ago, and I live in Boston, right? A very balkanized racial city that Boston is, though I love the city. I had just done a set. I was walking with this girl into this pretty swank bar. She goes to me and she goes, "Do we belong here?" And I turned to her and goes, "I am a tall white man in the city of Boston. I belong everywhere that's worth being." And it's just a fact, right? I mean, that doesn't hold for everywhere, but for that place at that time, yeah, no one's going to say shit to me.
Well, I will say this, guys, for what it's worth. Growing up, I was always the token white guy in school. Other than my freshman year of high school, where I went to a school called Westlake here in Austin. The rest of the way through high school, I went to Austin High, which is a third white, a third African-American, a third Hispanic. And it felt like Austin, as opposed to 99.999 white. And 2 African-American kids' dads were famous athletes. And, Indian, Asian kids who are, killing it to where you're not even going to get top 10%, forget it, because Tiger Moms and that whole thing. If you want to play extracurricular, forget it. But you go to Austin High and there's more diversity. I mean, I was always growing up much more comfortable in a room where I was the minority as a white guy than I was in a room full of all white guys in fucking khakis and polo shirts. Take, for example, Andy, this week, and I'll do this quick. This week, a kid I went to school with named Luke Denman was popped for trying to overthrow Nicolas Maduro's government.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, to put this in perspective, that's now national news. It's a big story. To put this in perspective, guys, when I was a 9th grader, I had a class with the kid that just tried to overthrow Maduro, Bay of Pig style. On the other side of the classroom, in the same room, was the Silk Road guy. And I was the fucking problem kid that's other parents didn't want me to show up to the birthday party. So I got the fucking guy running the new school Bay of Pigs. I've got the Silk Road guy. But that Sam Slade, I don't think we want him at the birthday party. So just to kind of put you into this fucking mindset that I come from, where it's like, oh, yeah, what are you speaking out of turn? You're trying to be class clown? Please, get in line. Let's fucking get it together, boy. Because someday these kids are going to be making national news because no one ever slapped them on the head and told them, no, you crazy idiot white guy.
The thing is, Sam, is that you're too subversive, my friend. If you were assertive but yet supportive of the system as it is, then like a stereotypical football player or something like that, from like a 1980s movie, you probably would have been invited to a lot more birthday parties. Right. Your problem is that you were working blue. You were working blue in middle school, and that's the problem.
I know.
All right, guys. So we're closing in on an hour. We should talk about our final thoughts. We've covered a lot of crazy spots.
We bounced around quite a bit. It's been a hell of a conversation for Friday morning, and I'm definitely going to need a nap after this.
Oh, yeah. Well, I got to go back to work in a couple of hours, so I'll be all jazzed up.
Andy, I do too. I have a minor league baseball season to finish up. I still haven't signed my deal with the Tampa Bay Rays, and I recently was traded from the Cubs minor league system, so it's a very tense home around here.
Well, dude, thoughts and prayers I'm sending your way. God bless America.
It's been a hell of a conversation, guys. I'm really excited that the three of us got together to hash some of this stuff out. Chris, it's awesome to get to talk to you as opposed to on the chat or on Facebook. I would love to do it more often. And if you're turning into this for the first time, I think Andy and I are going to keep doing this on Friday mornings. It seems to be the way to go. And it's so weird living in this new world where it doesn't matter if you're, Seth Meyers or if, you're Seth Johnson. That's not my best joke I've ever written, but the playing field is equal right now, guys. Like if you're putting out, You gotta hang on, Chris. That's the kind of comedic genius you'll get out of this unemployed comic.
So, Chris, what are your final thoughts before we sign off?
Thank you for having me, guys. Sam, I've been looking forward to meeting you. I was, for those of you who don't know, Sam, I watched their show last Friday and I was picking on him in the chat. One of his jokes kind of went flat, and I was like, "So, not a working comedian, huh?"
Not a very long time.
So I was just picking on it. It's been a lot of fun. I've been looking forward to this. I didn't know politics was going to be a thing. I normally try to avoid it on my show, and normally my politics is, again, with the Biden or whomever, doesn't matter now. Right? We got to be swimming on the same team. You'll find anti-Trump videos on my shit. So I wasn't really expecting the politic talk. I thought it was just going to be, comedy.
Well, I think this is just going to be a place where people can behave badly. I think that this is what this live stream is going to be, because that's just who I am.
It happens. Yeah. Well,
but in all seriousness, I don't staying home and doing this show from home. Everybody understanding the only way this thing slows down is to stay at home, do as minimal outside shit. This has nothing to do about trying to bomb the economy to make sure Trump wins. Has nothing to do with that. It has to do with not looking up next week and having some friend you haven't talked to in 5 years dying because they got a little cough they didn't pay attention to. We don't need that. We don't need that shit. I mean, we're going to be on 150,000 dead Americans here in a number of weeks. So let's act like that's what's happening and quit fucking dicking around talking about the Bachelorette and hoaxes.
All right.
Yes.
Well, thanks everyone who tuned in. It's great, talking to Brain Bug, best name ever, Dr. Mordecai, KCA Randy, all you all in the chat. We'll be back here next Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Chris, thanks for coming on. Sam, I will talk to you later. Take care, everyone.
See y'all later.
And now I'm ending the